What would you like to learn but don't believe you can? Stay tuned. This is Damon Cart from NLP Gym. NLP technique, learn to learn anything, no matter how big and how overwhelming. If you haven't already, please click subscribe to this YouTube channel so you can get these videos on a regular basis. I've been gearing up for the NLP Practitioner training starting this weekend. Also, there is an online option. There's one spot available. I'll mention more about that later. What do you want to learn? And what is something that you want to learn that just seems too big, too enormous? Or when you think about it, you just say to yourself, I don't think I can do that. It could be a foreign language. It could be learning NLP. It could be becoming an artist, a painter, a writer, writing a novel, writing a screenplay, making a movie. All these things that are big dreams of ours that we fear that we don't have the capacity to learn. Well, you do. And there's a way that you can do that. And there's a simple NLP technique for that. Now, I'll be honest, with this enormous training that I'm doing, it's a 24-day training stretched over 8 months. And I'm doing an online version to it. I'd be lying if I said that I didn't feel overwhelmed by this. I definitely feel overwhelmed by this. And it's a huge challenge, and I love to challenge myself. I love to put myself in situations where I actually ask myself, can I really do this? How am I going to do this? And there's a simple way. It's called chunking. And it's going to sound overly simplistic, but a lot of times it's the simple stuff that we overlook, and that is the way to go in doing something. When I think about doing this training, or when I was thinking about doing this training, I saw this as a visual. When I think about how overwhelmed I was, it to me looked like something that was too close to me. It was like a big ship or something. And I couldn't see the whole thing. It was like, when I would visualize it, it was like too big to see the whole thing. You know, when you're close up to something, you can only see what's right in front of you. You can't see the whole object. So what I started by doing is I pushed the object back so that I could see more of what it was, and so I could get a full visual of it. And that's what it looks like. It looks like this huge ship with like writing all over it, like NLP teaching and maybe some of my training notes and things like that. So it looks like this enormous ship with all this writing on it. And then what I started to do is I started to divide the ship into thirds. And then each third I would divide into two. And what I would ask myself is, what two things do I need to do to complete that 1/3? And if that was still overwhelming, if that was still too much, I would break that down into more pieces. You keep chunking it down until each little piece is digestible. Each little piece is small enough that you can handle that task. And then it just becomes about doing one of those tasks. And when that one's done, you do the next one. First, though, you have to deal with that feeling of overwhelm. And how you do that is you figure out where and what representational system is the overwhelm being triggered by. In this case, for me, it was a visual. I saw this like huge ship. So if it's a visual, you want to push it back from you and get more distance from it. So let's say it's like this big blob right here. And if you're too close to it, if I'm too close to it, I can't see the whole thing. So I push it back, and then once I push it back, then I start looking at it, and I'm also, when I do this, I might write on a board or I might write on a piece of paper. I'll divide this into thirds, and then like I said, I can divide this into more, and then if I need to, I can continue doing this. And as I'm doing it, I can fill in what needs to be done in these spots. What might also happen for you, though, is you might not be visual, and the overwhelm might not be triggered by something in the visual representational system. In this case, for me, it was, but in other cases, it might not be. If you're very auditory, you may be hearing a lot of things when you think about learning whatever it is you want to learn. You might be hearing a lot of sounds, you might be hearing a lot of voices. They might be coming from all different directions. It could be some critical voices telling you can't do it. So what you want to do here is, what's probably happening is you're hearing everything all at once. You're hearing either all the sounds all at once, or all the voices all at once, or you're hearing a combination of sounds and voices. What you want to do is you want to slow it down and pick out each sound or each voice and hear what message it's delivering to you. Again, you'll probably need a pen and paper and you want to write this down. So hear each sound or voice individually. Now this sounds really simple, but what happens is most people are not even conscious of this. They're not even conscious of seeing some big visual image. They're not even conscious of like hearing all these voices or hearing all these sounds. But if you check in with yourself, or you start with that feeling of overwhelm and then you trace it to, well, where is it coming from? If you're very visual, it's probably going to be in your visual system. If you're very auditory, it's probably going to be, you're probably hearing something. So slow that down. Some people are very kinesthetic and they might be feeling it in their bodies. And this happens to me too. I'm pretty visual, but I'm also pretty kinesthetic. So what it might feel like to you is like a bunch of hands are grabbing at you, or you might be feeling like you're pulled in all different directions. You might even be feeling like you're being pulled apart. I've had that feeling before. It does not feel good. Some of you might be thinking, well, I feel overwhelmed, so it must be happening in my kinesthetic system. And that's not necessarily true. You want to differentiate between what is the result of the trigger, which is the feeling of overwhelm. That is a feeling, but that's an evaluated feeling. That's not a feeling like a tactile or pulling on your body. So you want to distinguish, is it a feeling like overwhelm, which is an evaluation of something, and is that being triggered by something else? Is it being triggered by visual? Is it being triggered by something you're hearing? So it might be triggered by a feeling, a sensation of being pulled in multiple directions. If you have that feeling, more than likely it is in your kinesthetic system. But if it's just like, oh, I feel overwhelmed, well, you have to go and find what system is it being triggered in. So if it is being triggered in the kinesthetic system, you probably will have that feeling of being pulled in that direction, and then over there, and then over there. Again, what you want to do is you want to stop and feel one at a time each pull, or each, like if it does feel like a hand, or if it feels like something like a gravitational pull pulling you away, you want to locate that feeling. Where is it, and what direction is it trying to pull you to go in? So once again, once you know what directions each one is trying to pull you in, and again, you'll probably need to write this down, you want to prioritize, well, what direction is it most important, or what is the meta direction, what is the overall direction that all the other little directions kind of serve. And you just need to prioritize, and it might be, you might have to categorize these two different things in two different places. Like, okay, well, that might be from a completely different context. Well, I need to put that feeling over there and know that when I'm in that context, then I go that direction. But when I'm in this context, I go that direction. This will take a lot of confusion out of it. When you chunk anything down small enough, you can learn anything, you can accomplish anything. So once you do this, and you have it all written out, go for it. Check out my website, nlp-gym.com. There you will find where you can get some free training on sensory acuity, which is the foundation of NLP training. It's a foundational skill. Also, like I mentioned, there is one spot left for the Ultimate Practitioner Training online version. You can learn at your own pace. I will be making the online version concurrently with the live version. You will basically just log into a platform and you will be able to learn NLP from your computer a day at a time, a week at a time, whatever suits you. I'll put my email in a comment down below. Just shoot me an email if you're interested and we can get you signed up. Remember to subscribe to this channel, and if you like this video, please click like right down here. Take care.